Welcome back to your daily dose of the pod, social BJJ. So we're going to be jumping into a topic on tournaments. What was that? On tournaments. We're going to be talking about tournaments. I could edit that out, but why bother? So for tournaments, is it really worth it, or are they like overrated? And then the other thing I want to talk about is it really like messing up gyms? You go to certain jiu-jitsu gyms and they're going to be jiu-jitsu oriented. So, all right, let's kind of, I guess, make the case for why tournaments are necessary and important. The reason why, I might argue myself and say, all right, they're important because it gives people focus. We just got finished talking about how belts are irrelevant, right? It's not really important to have belts. So since that's the case, then a lot of people are going to need something to push their training. And tournaments are a good way to, you set a date in a couple months or a month in advance or a couple weeks in advance. You have this date and you have something to grind towards, something to work towards. You know your weaknesses, you're assessing yourself, and it helps you progress in jiu-jitsu opposed to just going to the gym and just training, just to train. So it helps, you set goals and it helps you stay motivated. Also, it does allow for you to have a community, right? You're able to meet other competitors and, follow them. And that way, if you're ever traveling, you might be able to, train at other people's gyms, share techniques, and just have a friend that you wouldn't necessarily have had you not been competing. So it's definitely a good case, but there are some downsides to these tournaments. I mean, one is they're not free, right? They cost money. There's registration fees. Honestly, let's talk about what are you gonna win? You're gonna win like a little gold, little cheap medal. It's not real gold. It's not real bronze. It's not real silver, as to my belief. And you're not really gonna do anything with it. It's like, oh, cool, and then nobody cares, unless you're competing at the highest of levels. Right, it's just like you're just going to the park and having a pickup game of basketball, unless you're like Gordon Ryan, the elite of the elite, and competing for ADCC or nowadays CJI, competing for the highest level, the prestige. That's like the professional leagues, right? If you're not doing that, then come on, we're just playing pickup games. But some people take it a lot, very, very serious, and there's a risk to that, right? You enter tournaments, like you're entering in at your own risk. Somebody might heel hook the mess out of you. Somebody might slam you even though they're not supposed to slam you. They might reap and, you defend the wrong way and extend and boom, now your leg's broken. There's a lot of things that can happen in tournaments. They might tackle you off of the mats. You could hit your head, there's a lot of things that can happen in these tournaments. There's physical stress. There's mental stress, right? There's burnout, especially if you're going to try to compete like every month or a lot often. And then let's talk about the part that I hate the most, or one of the parts that I hate the most about these tournaments, is that it shifts to like the gym culture. There's some gyms that only focus on competing, right? So if you're at the bottom, you're losing, right? Because you just got scored on. Oh, if you're not good at wrestling, you're losing, right? And it's like, why can't I just have fun? Maybe I'm good at being on bottom. Just because I have my guard pass doesn't mean that I'm gonna lose the match. Right, and I feel like it doesn't allow for you to be as creative because you're so focused on points. And because of that as well, I feel like it obviously, I don't know if this is a word or not, it sportifies the sport, if you will, and makes it a little bit less self-defense oriented, I believe personally. And this is why I like, I guess, the tournament of like combat jiu-jitsu, which makes it very, very like self-defense oriented. And I think that's really good, but it makes it self-defense oriented in the sense of like you're competing with somebody else who's doing jiu-jitsu. So I don't know how street applicable that would be, but obviously it would be a lot better than not all the other tournaments for a fact, right? And so there's definitely that piece to it. But the gyms that they train competitively focused, I don't like those gyms. I don't find it to be fun. Maybe because of how I started at the, training center, the Gracie Training Center, where sometimes we didn't even have timers. It was just like, go. until the instructor said next. And I like that freedom to explore, and like, who cares advantage or disadvantage, because like if we're playing and I got you in my guard, closed guard, for example, and I'm not able to do something with the closed guard, I'm gonna just open it up and we're gonna try something else. Or if we're in a stalemate position, I got you in a triangle setup, or you got me in a triangle setup, but we're on point, so you're just gonna hold it for the, if you caught me early and there's 4 minutes left in the round, and you're not able to submit me, you're just gonna hold it. That's boring. For 4 minutes, that's like, come on, that's boring. But that kind of stuff happens, and it's because you're so focused on points instead of focused on, learning the sport or grappling with the sport, or just having fun in general, and being willing to be creative. But because we're so point and focused and trying to win every single thing, it becomes kind of a little bit boring for people who are like me and like to have a lot of fun and like to use it for a social outlet and a good exercise and stay in shape. And really, if you competed, honestly, you feel like a show horse. When I did my first and only competition a couple months ago, after training for like 8 years or whatever, 9 years, no, actually almost 10 years, yeah. Did my first competition, I felt like a show horse. They made us line up. It was a nice place. It was a nice arena, It was really nice. But they make you line up. They make you like check in. They don't care really anything about you. It was rushed. Nobody gives enough. Nobody cares. Nobody. And you're paying for that. You're paying for kind of a crappy experience, to be honest. Your whole day is kind of ruined. I don't want to say ruined, but your whole day is spent around like preparing for the tournament, whether you're traveling far. Some of these matches, if they're bigger, they're going to be far, right? Because they're going to try to be in like major cities of the state. So you're going to be traveling, right? You're going to be going pretty far, and that takes up time. It could be a Saturday, it could be a Sunday. Then that's your weekend if you're working 9 to 5 throughout the week. And now, your weekend is your time to chill. Maybe you hit up the gym for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever. And you go home and chill with your family, play video games, whatever. If you have a tournament, you're not doing any of that stuff, right? You're just at the tournament. Hopefully they tell you the time, and hopefully they stick to the time, because they might not. They might move up the time. And if you're not there, well, too bad, disqualified, whatever. The other person won. And you do all of this and you go to the tournament. Don't let it be like a local tournament. You do all of this, you go early, you go to the tournament, and then there's only like one other person in your division. You do all of that for only one other person in your division? Right? Well, come on. Are you really challenging yourself in that situation? You might as well just go to another gym's open mat and just roll around there. Right? But it doesn't have the prestige. You're not going to get a medal for it. Oh my gosh. No, come on. I don't want to say people don't try in the gym, but people try in the gym. I don't want to say that they try super hard, but they're trying. They're not trying to lose. Right? But people are working on stuff. So like, I get it. Like in the competition, like people are 100% going for it, versus that's not always the case in the gym. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. But come on now. Let's be real. You're going to do all of that. And then not to mention, some of these refs are doing some BS DQs. Like you see some DQ because he like his heel was just a little bit past. So that's technically a rape DQ. Like, come on, dude. He spent probably $100 to be here, travel all the way just for a little, like a centimeter. The refs have biases. Like no points were scored up, but the refs, like this person, right? Like somebody's going to get penalized. Is it going to be the guard player? This actually happened to me in my match, right? Like I was playing guard. The person couldn't pass my guard. I'm trying to do attacks, but he kept running from me. So then in that situation, what happens, right? Like, well, I lost because the ref viewed the other person as doing like a lot more action. And the same thing happened in CJI with Cade and Levi Larry Jones. I believe I said his name right. He was playing guard, amazing guard player, way better than me. Cade is way better passer than the guy that I was going against too. But it was the same situation. He couldn't pass, and the guard player got penalized. So it's like, what are we doing? in these tournaments. And then when you do things like that, when you go into like the gym, now you have people trying to basically just do wrestling opposed to just doing jiu-jitsu. Everybody's focused on just trying to pass on the outside. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. There's a lot of good stuff to that. But if that's all we're doing, then it's kind of like we're limiting a lot of the style. Now, you could do whatever the heck you want to do, honestly. And I fully support that. But I just think that it's pretty much limiting the game opposed to just free roam. I love sub-only competitions because you can do whatever you want. You're not going to get penalized. And then at the end of that, sure, EBI overtime rules may not be the best because maybe some people are going to stall so they can get to those positions that they're really good at. And maybe they should mix up the positions every now and then. But I do think it's better than nothing. At least you got ride time, pause, or you got like, a submission. And I think that's the ultimate test of actual jiu-jitsu. Or CJI, you got the slaps, they got the defense mechanism. So those types of tournaments are great. Point tournaments, trash, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. See you on the next episode. Peace.